Assalamu alaikum, greetings, and welcome to Muhammad and Friends. Brothers and sisters, we are streaming live. If you'd like to participate in today's conversation, please give us a call at 773-434-6625. Brothers and sisters, I'm very excited about our guest today, but before I introduce him, I want to remind you, as always, to please follow us on our social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please go to our YouTube page, click the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever we post a show. Brothers and sisters, as always, it's a pleasure when we're able to have a believer on set with us. And I am so happy to be joined by the student minister of Mosque Number One in Detroit, Michigan, our brother, Troy Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm fine, beloved. Thank you for joining us today.
Man, it's my honor and my pleasure to be on this show. I was on the show before, and it was a wonderful time that I had, and I'm thankful for your work, the work you are carrying on with Pro. Pray that Allah be pleased with our brother Munir Muhammad, who, along with some of you great brothers, were called to do such a valuable work in raising the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it's my honor and pleasure, man, anytime I could sit down and talk with you.
Yes, sir, brother. Thank you for that. And you and I, as we've discussed before, it's so important now more than ever for our people to become acquainted with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because everything that we see today in science, mathematics, everything is testifying to the truth of that teaching. And we're going to discuss it more. But for our viewing audience who may not be familiar with your story, talk about how you were introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and your acceptance of Islam, brother.
Yes, sir. I mean, I can say I was blind, but now I see. I was deaf, but now I hear. I was dumb, but now I speak a little bit better.
Yes, sir.
And all praise is due to Allah for me being blessed to come in contact with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was a young man, like many of our young men in the society today, man. I was deaf, dumb, and blind, not knowing what direction to go in, not having any goals. And I can't attribute that to my parents because they were great human beings, the most beautiful human beings I've met in life. But they didn't know, and they didn't know what to give me, and they didn't know what to supply and equip me with beyond the show, which was wonderful.
Yes, sir.
But I made a lot of mistakes as a young man, and I ended up, uh, before 17 years old, I was doing the hustling thing in the streets of Detroit. I ended up getting shot 9 times on 2 different occasions. One time I was shot twice, and the other 7 times. I eventually ended up in prison for myself shooting a police officer. So at a young age, man, I was just really off,
Yes,
and really in the wrong direction, and really had the wrong chain of thought. And I ended up in this prison cell with 25 to 50 years to do, which was, that's an incredible weight on a 17-year-old. My
yes,
girlfriend at the time, she was on her way to college while I was on my way to prison.
yes, sir.
So during that time, brother, I remember uh, the Donahue show, which a lot of people who know me know that, I was exposed to the teachings through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who had an appearance on the Donahue show. And on this day, he was doing an interview, and it just touched me in a way because I was a young man who, you live based upon your brawn, you live based upon your guns, you live based upon your strength to overpower others. And in this case, I saw a man who had strength not in brawn, not in guns, but his strength and his power was in a word. And it was the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he was displaying in such an articulate way that it made me say, hey, man, I want some of that. I got to hear more of that. So I, began to attend a prison study group to learn more and more. And, we consistently did this over the years, man. And praise be to Allah, it caused me to change my life.
Yes, sir.
And, the significant part about that is that, in prison, you could either decide to become a prisoner and live that lifestyle. You can decide to change. And, it's not a lot to negotiate with when you got 25 years. It's like, man, I'm just in here.
Right.
But these teachings made me change, made me get my GED, made me go to college, while in prison. I had a great record. So when I was able to get blessed to go back to court and placed in front of a different judge, the judge was able to look at my record and she said about me, she said, "You're the perfect example of reform. And since you are a perfect example of reform, I'm going to give you a sentence reduction." You see, that reduction wouldn't have came if I wasn't exposed to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of Minister Farrakhan, because these things made me change my life and change my way to produce what the judge saw at a later date. So, I was released from the prison. I came home, and, the rest is history, man. I can't write a better story. I'm now the student minister of Muhammad's Mosque #1. I've been serving in that position for now, 8 years. Before that, I served as an assistant minister to one of the sons of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Rasul Muhammad, who was a great help to me. I served in the prison ministry, helping brothers in prison. And man, today, the teachings have allowed me so much, man, so much freedom, so much, impact in a city that I feel that I contributed to destroying. But now these teachings have helped me lift people up and change people and help our community in so many ways. So I feel blessed to be in this position, and I'm thankful to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as the work that you all are doing, because, while in prison, I got books from Crow and, different guidance that I may not have been able to get in other places.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah, brother. I want to just go back to one point, because we have a lot of brothers and sisters that are part of the reentry population. And in a structure, when they're in prison, it's one thing, but that transition when they're out, to build on that. And I want you just for a moment, it might be someone in our audience who are struggling with reentry, that period when you were released, what was it that motivated you to continue with the path of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and of course under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Because a lot of people get lost when they come out of prison and they're not to act and build on that. So talk about that period and what motivated you, or the support that you had to help you to maintain and grow even stronger in the teachings.
Praise be to Allah. Well, I think that family is very important in that aspect, and I think creating a family environment for our brothers and sisters who are currently incarcerated when they come home, because it is a difficult period, that period where you come out, man, and you've been gone for 10 years, 15 years, and the world continues to move. Now we sit in there and we study and do all the things necessary, but it doesn't prepare us for what we come out to. And I was blessed to have a beautiful support system as far as family and relationships. That was a wonderful thing. One of the first people who approached me when I came home was an old friend. And before I went to prison, I had a reputation of being a kind of rough guy. And he offered me $20,000, man, to murder somebody, and he was serious, man. And this was 2 days out of prison. And it was like, this is what we come out to. But if I didn't have the family support, if I didn't have people around me who loved me, who told me, man, don't worry about money at this point, just focus on getting yourself together. So I was able to, move in with a cousin of mine who just told me, focus on getting yourself together. I'll take care of everything else. And so I was able to catch a bus, get on a bus and catch it every day when the mosque was open. And, this type of thing. I just had that type of family and friendships around me. So it's very important to understand, because you're not going to come right out. In prison, we thought that the mosque was a perfect place.
Yes, sir.
Think that we're coming out to heaven, and we don't understand that some people in the mosque have the same problems and issues that we have. And just because we have on suits and bow ties, sometimes we think that people are, complete individuals, but they're not. And sometimes we come across these types of people, and it turns us away from the mosque because we had a thought in our mind that, man, I'm going to heaven. But that's not it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is asking us to come out and help. The Coalition of Remembrance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is asking us to come out and help, to get this light and get this word to our people. But man, it's a difficult thing. It takes the balance, of course. It takes, you got to bring all that study with you outside those bars.
Yes, sir.
I think Muhammad Ali, or it might have been Mike Tyson, they talked about training. But all the training kind of goes out the window when you get hit in the mouth, So when we walk out in these streets, it's not just the memorization of the teachings and things like that, but it's the application, man. It's going to help us make that transition.
Well said, brother. Well said. We have a caller. I want to go to the line. Caller, you're on the air with our brother minister, Troy Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
This
is brother Sean.
Brother.
Yes, Brother Troy Muhammad and I were in the belly of the beast back in the early 90s. And I just want to commemorate the brother because I've been seeing the work that he was doing. And he's a perfect example of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. My question is, how can we reach some of these brothers and sisters, especially with social media and the way that they're portraying that life is just like how you was just explaining to the brother, like it's perfect, and it's not. So I think the reason why so many people are having a problem making the transition is because no one wants to show their struggle.
Yes, sir.
Everyone want to go from I was struggling to I'm living lavish. But if you can't see the connection where you can make it and say, well, in honesty, on my way to the mass, like how Brother Troy Muhammad was saying, 2 days out of the belly of the beast, the brother was offering him $20,000. What made you not take that and continue on the mission? That's what brothers and sisters need to see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brother Sean.
Sean was one of my great brothers and companions in the prison system, a good brother, a great teacher as well, a humble brother, and it was what kept us together and what is actually keeping us together 25, 30 years later, brother.
Yes, sir.
Is love. And I think that's the language that our young men and young women need, true love, not the type of love that got a hook tied to it, where it's like, assalamu alaikum, brother. Good morning, sister. You want a final call newspaper? It doesn't have to be an exchange tied to it. It has to be the genuine love, man. That's the language that we're going to have to understand better, so that we can reach their hearts and their minds. Because it's not, it's nothing written. It's no format you can give them and say, okay, this is what's going to bring you success. Because each person is an individual.
Yes, sir.
Each person has different experiences. And until you show that you're concerned about the individual, their personal experiences, you're not going to be able to reach them. So I think that, love is our lead. Love is our way into the hearts and the minds of our people, be they young people, old people, male or female.
Yes, sir.
Love that we're really missing in our community today.
It's a love, and also the honesty of witness bearing. I think to your point earlier is that, even once you have this teacher, you're going to be tried. There are going to be trials. And so how you navigate through that is important too, because the perception could be once that you have these teachings, hey, you in heaven and that's it. But we know that
Mhm.
the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that when you attain heaven, that's when you start to work. And so when you have these teachings, it's a work program. And so I think the real life conversations about how to overcome challenges or how to deal with adversity through the inspiration of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is essential to our people too. Because remember, this is no spook. There's no mystery. You know, certain things aren't going to fall out the sky, and so you have to put things into motion. And so I think, in the spirit of love, the spirit of witness bearing, and then another thing that I still see as one of the most underrated events in history, as far as we talk about it, is the Million Man March in the true spirit of atonement. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that that event alone, you know, October 16th, 1995, when close to 2 million brothers descended upon Washington with that, one of the most beautiful sights you'll ever see,
Hmm.
and that spirit of true atonement and things like that, that lays the foundation, brother, for some of these conversations and interactions with these young brothers to know that, hey, you know, as long as you have the breath of life, then you could do something about it, you know. And so I think it's so important. And of course, I'm here in Chicago, you're in Detroit, and you know, those cities in particular, you see the lifestyles, you see the things that are happening with our people, and it makes it ripe for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, our people just have to grab a hold to it, but we as believers have to reflect it and share it in the right spirit for our people to understand it.
Well, I think it's like you said. There's no mystery.
Yes, sir.
So I think that we as believers, we have to figure out ways to develop new ways of reaching our people. You know, this process should be taught in the educational system. You know, when you go to school, you should learn who you are. You should know or learn the knowledge of yourself. And then once you understand the knowledge of yourself as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it gives you a greater understanding of your purpose, your role, what you can do, what you can achieve, you know, all of these things. But it's up to the believer to figure some of these things out, to say, okay, I'm inspired to do more. I'm inspired to find different roads and different avenues to help bring our people up, offer them opportunities and open up roads for them so that they can walk down these roads and get into the role of self-improvement, self-development, self-examination, you know, but that takes love on our part.
Yes,
You know what
sir.
I mean? I'm motivated by my love of Allah, my love of our people, my love of his messenger. You know, that's what is to move us, man. And if we're moved, we can move our people. If you raise the Million Man March, which was incredible, and you say, okay, man, almost or over 2 million men showed up, and then you look at a city like Detroit that only got 700,000 people in it.
Yes, sir.
So if the word could transform that mall for 24 hours, it can transform Detroit for 24 hours, for 2 days, for 48 hours, for a week, for a month. We showed that it can be done with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the love and the discipline of our teaching and our teachers, man.
Yes, sir, brother. I want to go to the line again. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, this is Brother Greg. Salam alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam, brother Greg.
How you doing? I'm calling in. I'm on the road, brother. I'm not actually watching the TV, but I know that brother interviewed this brother a little while back, and I wanted to just comment and compliment the brother on all that teaching that he gave to the believers a little while back, and also to give him some kudos about that wonderful testimony that he did with Brother Munir, and how Brother Munir gave him all that information while he was in the system. And I just
Yes.
wanted to tell that brother gave me a lot of inspiration, and that testimony that he gave is always powerful. So I had to call in and give the brother the greetings, and keep on doing what you're doing, brother.
Thank you, brother Greg, and be safe with your travels, beloved.
Yes, sir.
Yes. safe, Brother Greg. Walaikum salam, and I thank you for that. I thank you for the energy that you gave me. You know, I really did appreciate the time that I was able to spend with Brother Munir. And again, you know, we used to write him while we were in prison. And even times when we didn't have money, you know, he would make sure we had materials to come in and bring us light in a very serious time of darkness. So I'm just honored again to be here on this show and honored to share whatever I can share based upon the impact that teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has had on my life.
Yes, sir. And to your point, that was Brother Munir. You know, he loved his people. He loved them. And so even here, brother, you know, we were very active in the prison systems. But my father used to say, you know, he could see himself in there, you know, and he knows how easily that could have been. And so he had a special love for that, for our brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated, because he knows how the system is. And so to have that outreach, that support, I know would travel the prison systems here, but that was something that, you know, my father was the kind of person, if you were locked up, he didn't want you to stay there. You know, he wanted to get out because he understood that. And I think that was one of his gifts, is that he was always relatable. You know, with, he was a brother who was approachable in the sense of real life applications of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which we were talking about earlier. And so that's so key to reaching our people, because this is not something that once you accept it, it's just a smooth sailing. You have to work at this, brother. And we have a lot of people, and you're homegrown. You're from Detroit. Detroit is a city, you know, that has gone through a lot of changes. Our people, the dynamics of things are there, but I know that you're deeply rooted in the community. I have to say, I think the last Savior's Day that we were able to attend pre-corona was in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
If I'm not
Ra-
mistaken. Yes, sir.
the traveling of a great nation,
Yes,
and
sir. It's
the
it's
nation.
you as
You
you as a host there, brother. Talk about that experience, because I want to talk about the work that you've done there in the city of Detroit and the host at Savior's Day. So give a few, and I, you know, people, you know, because you're hosting everybody, brother. You know, it's a celebration, but it's a lot of groundwork. But you all represent the city of Detroit, receive the nation and all of the attendees so well there. It's a testament to your relationship. But talk about the work that goes into just hosting such an event, brother.
well, praise be to Allah. We were blessed to host. You know, when I came home from prison, you know, the only thing I wanted to do was to one day be able to shake the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's hand and just thank him for helping me change my life, and for my life to take the turn that it took, and for me to, you know, come to Muhammad's Mosque #1, where my minister was Minister Rasul Muhammad. And when you are sitting watching him, you're not thinking about any, you know, any thoughts of taking his place or being in his place, because he was so phenomenal with the teaching and such a good brother. So just to, my life to take the change that it took, and things to turn out the way that they did, I can only say all praise is due to Allah. And to host Savior's Day now, 4 times we've hosted Savior's Day. We hosted Day of Atonement. Of course, it's a work tied to it, but praise be to Allah, we have great FOI, great captains and lieutenants have been at Mosque #1, and we've been able to successfully get the people out every time that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has had a Savior's Day event here. I think that the most important thing, or the thing that presses me, is that we want a good showing for the messenger of God. We want, you know, the people to come out to hear such a strong word, because, you know, you understand that that word can be their salvation. That one day that they come could be the day that they need to hear that word, and that's the day that it changes their life. So, Savior's Day has been wonderful here. The people respond because this is where Master Fard Muhammad came.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell a quick story. I was driving my car about 1 a.m, and it was near the 4th of July, I believe, because they just had a fireworks display in the area. And I saw an older black lady walking down this main street, but the street was totally dark. It was very late at night. And she was, old enough where she was bent over walking.
Yes, sir.
So I turned around and pulled up on her, and I offered her a ride. I said, "Do you need a ride, dear sister?" She had to be in her 80s. She said, "No, you might be a murderer or something." Right. So I said, "Well, I can take you right down there to the police station. It's not far away." And then she agreed. So she got in the car with me, and I took her down to the police station. By that time, she said, "You must be a pastor." And I said, "Well, I'm something like that. I'm a minister for the Nation of Islam." And then she said, "I remember when Master Fard Muhammad used to teach us as children," right?
Mm-hmm.
This blows my mind, right? And she begins to tell me about Master Fard Muhammad teaching them when they were younger. And, I get to the police station. She said, "Well, you might as well take me all the way home now." And, we took her down and I got her home. But it just reminded me of the presence of Master Fard Muhammad, the presence of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the impact they had in the city of Detroit. So it's not too many families in the city of Detroit that don't have a relationship with Muslims. You know what I mean? They have Muslim names. They have Muslim family members. They can, talk about their grandfather being Muslim. So whenever Savior's Day comes here, it's not really a hard sell, The people want to hear that word. It's even radio stations sometimes, if we haven't heard that word in a while, they'll play lectures by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just so the people can get a feel for it. So, man, it's just been a blessing for me to come from a prison cell, to run a prison study group, to be the minister over a very important mosque, is Mosque Number 1. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told me one time, he said that when Master Fard Muhammad came to Detroit, it was one area called Black Bottom. He said now the whole city can be considered Black Bottom. So in order to raise the city up, each believer must become Master Fard Muhammad. And that just, man, it made me, I was fearful, but inspired at the same time, man. Because that is our role, brother. We bear witness that Allah came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. That's a teaching like no other.
Yes,
You're
sir.
bearing witness not that God is coming, but that God came. And when you say that God came, now it makes you into a disciple of sorts. Because now it's your duty, it's my duty, it's our duty to get that message to our people, man, no matter what. And we have to figure out the avenues and ways so that we can get to our people and touch our people. So Munir had his way of getting to the people. This one has his way of getting to the people. But we have to find ways to give them the light that we've been blessed to see, that some people may not understand, man. So I'm just so honored. I feel blessed. I feel privileged. I'm so thankful to be able to host the Savior's Day, to be able to teach in the name of our Lord, man. It's a blessing. I can't describe it anyway, but just I can only say all praise is due to Allah.
Well said, brother. Well, I want to do now, I want to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about the interactions and the relationships that you're building in the community, because you're doing some great things in Detroit. So brothers and sisters, stay with us. We'll be right back with more conversation with Brother Student Minister Troy Muhammad.
The sun is going down in the west. This teaching, as I hinted to you last Sunday, will rise a powerful sun of truth and the spirit of truth from this part of our planet. by us whom God hath raised up among us. No more will you look toward the east after this for a light of truth to come. So the light of truth, which the scientists of the East was not able to give you, will come from the West. That will change the disposition of worship. You won't look to the West, nor to the East, nor north and south for wisdom. Everywhere you go, you will find it. So the Bible sings and prophesies of the truth, and that day it says, you shall no more go up to Jerusalem, to the temple, there at Jerusalem seeking God. But wherever you may be, you will be a temple yourself. And therefore it won't be necessary to go to those same place pointing out a house with truth in it. You will be the truth.
When I was in church,
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back continuing our conversation with student minister Troy Muhammad of Mosque Number 1 in Detroit, Michigan. Again, this is a live call-in show. If you have a question or a comment, you can reach us at 773-434-6625. Brother, you know, that excerpt from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad stating that we would have to be a temple ourselves, you know, goes in alignment with what you said about reflecting that light of truth to our people and that attracting power that, you know, comes from having these teachings when you're acting on it. And, you know, you're homegrown in Detroit. You know, our people have significance, but talk about some of the community relationships. I know that you're doing things in the community, trying to attract and reach some of our younger people too. So why don't you share some of the works that you're doing in the city of Detroit, brother?
Well, praise be to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know, the works open up doors for us to walk into. You know, the works of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad opens up the opportunity for friendships in all walks of life. So they open up doors for us to walk into. But once we walk into those doors, we have to present ourselves as Muslim. We have to present ourselves as decent. We have to present ourselves with integrity. And if we do that, then the reach becomes stronger, you know, and you can do so much more when you treat people right. We've been blessed to do that in the city of Detroit, so our relationships are strong. We have, you know, relationships with every politician, every community organization we work with. We try to lock together and step together and do things together. Since COVID, early on in COVID, nobody knew what to do. Many people were scared. And, a lot of people, organizations came to me personally and asked, could we help? So we had to help the mask and distribute, all the materials needed for people to be safe. So early on, man, we distribute over 200,000 pieces of mask and cleaning and sanitizing things and gloves. We have consistently passed out food every week, man, where we get food through different organizations to pass out to the community, because most of the organizations don't have the inroads to the community that are really in need. But they knew that the Nation of Islam had these inroads and had these relationships. Of course, what we're working on now, we just did an event a couple weeks ago, and it's actually covered in the recent final call, where, I wanted to take the do for self teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and pass them on to the community organizations that right now, in Detroit, that, they're working to ask for funding from the government. They're looking to ask for funding from the city. And I just want them to understand that when you get that funding, it's certain restrictions that come along that restrict your organization from really servicing our people. So what I did, I got with our hip hop artists, and I've, contacted quite a few that are willing to be a part of this thing, where we can utilize clean hip hop music to help bring finances to our organization so that we can fuel and fund ourselves. The first one that we did here was with the rapper Rakim, who was an Islamic brother. He was the first brother I ever heard say all praise is due to Allah. So he was it was very important that we brought him in first. We were able to raise funding and show the community organizations that we brought in how they can fund themselves. And it lines up with the do for self teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, we're consistently doing things like that. We're consistently helping. We, were involved yesterday in an expungement fair. Detroit has led the way in their new expungement legislation, which allows people coming home from prison to get their entire records erased.
Yes, sir.
And it just isn't misdemeanors, but it's even to the highest level of felonies that are able to be erased, which is a very great opportunity for many to really have a clean slate and a fresh start. But we've been involved in that from the very beginning, helping to shape the politicians' thinkings on these areas. We are continuing our work in prisons, trying to connect families with those relatives who they haven't seen because of COVID and things like that. So it's a constant work, man. And it lines up with what we've been instructed to do, which is to bring the light. You bring the light of Islam in every situation to help people see. And they may not call themselves Muslims, but that light is helping them get through this very serious time. We have a weekly radio show that we do, the Final Call Hour, which is every Sunday. We also have a weekly TV show that we do, Self-Improvement Ministry. So we're trying to do everything necessary to reach our people where they're at. Our FOI hit the community every weekend, and we've adopted senior citizen facilities that we go into every week, man. We feed them bean soup, and we give them the paper, and we spend time with them and give them the things that they need. So, it's a constant work, man. And, sheltering in place is one thing, but, to spread the light and the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is our responsibility every single day. As you said, we have to, in this time period where our mosques are closed, we have to become the mosque. We have to take the word with us wherever we go. And we have to bring light to our people, because our people are in an intense darkness in this hour. So
yes, sir.
That's what we do, man. We can't stop. We won't stop. We're not going to stop. until Allah calls us to stop.
You know, I'm so glad that you shared those points because so many people sometimes think that, you know, just memorizing and quoting the teachings and reading is one thing, but when you're actively engaged in the community is special. And, you know, in a city like Detroit, where there is a large Orthodox Islamic community too, I want to talk about the way that you all are able to navigate there too, because the percep you know, when people historically, not much now, don't think that we're out and about, but even in that area, you know, you represent the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, and the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but you don't have to take a back seat when it comes to Islam or anything like that within that area. And just talk about that a little bit, because some who may not be familiar always may be more inclined to think the Orthodox community has the function in one light and you're in the other, but you operate all throughout Detroit, brother.
Oh, you have to. You have to. You know, it's one God. You know,
Yes, sir.
when we can understand that, brother, then we can walk and we can do the things that we do. We don't have to make anybody else be other than what they are. You know,
Yes,
you don't
sir.
have to demand anybody to be what you are, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, of course, I'm the student minister of Muhammad's Mosque #1. I represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I represent the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have groups here that, you know, that only represent the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the aspect that they don't adhere to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says. But, you know, if I argue with them, it's like arguing with my own teachings.
Yes, sir.
You know, so we sit down and we talk, and I tell them, man, you don't have to be what I am, but, you know, we have the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we can work on things together. You know, the Orthodox community. You know, one thing about the Orthodox community here, they do recognize where they came from. They do recognize the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the work that he did amongst them. So it's been a perfect, you know, relationship in the sense that we've always worked together. We've never had, or I've never experienced any beefs with these groups. Then I also work in the Arab community. And what I've learned from them is that they, you know, we are like a guide to them. You know, I have all the FOI coming out to programs and you know, working out and things like that. Then the Arab leadership came to me and said, man, we have to learn how to do what you brothers are doing. You know, we have to learn how to follow, you know, Islam in the way that you are following. And it opens up conversation. So I'm able to bring Imam Sultan in to speak to our Arab community. I'm able to, you know, sit down with the brother Marvin Mohammed. I'm able to sit down with other Islamic leaders and, you know, work together. And oftentimes, because of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the relationships I've been able to establish, many of them come to me to help them establish their relationship with city government and even community activism. So,
Yes,
you know, it's a beautiful melting pot here in that aspect, man, where I think based upon, again, Master Farad Muhammad coming here and Muslims, Black Muslims forging the way for what you see as far as an Arab community now, you know, it's a beautiful mix, man.
yes, sir. Well said, brother. Let's go to the lines. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother.
And assalamu alaikum, my brother Troy.
Wa alaikum salam.
Brother, you come across so wonderfully and so easily comfortable to listen to. You are like the old school Muslims, my brother. You know, I feel you, as we used to say. You know, you like the second coming of Minister Troy down in Louisiana or something, you know. The way you end your sentences with, you know what I mean, or man, you know, you're driving it on home, and you listening to you is so satisfying to my soul. And I want you to know that I love my brothers and sisters there in Detroit. I visited the Black Bottom of Hamtramck, Michigan. My wife and I had the opportunity to go there many years ago, and we felt we was on some kind of magical pilgrimage or something. So I want you to know, brother, may Allah bless you with much success there in Detroit. And we here at Crow just love you, okay?
Love you too, and I appreciate your words and your thoughts. It's energy, it's energy, it's confirmation, and that's the only way to be, man. We can't be uptight with this thing in this type of world that we're living in, man. We have to be open to our people and open to talk to them and make them feel that we're accessible.
Yes, sir.
Because if we're not accessible, man, then they don't get their salvation, right? Because we're we have, the pieces of light that we have, we're obligated now to pass it on to somebody else, man. But if we carry ourselves in a way where people don't think that we're accessible, then they could miss that blessing. And in them missing the blessing and you carrying yourself in a way that's kind of standoffish, you can lose your blessing. So it's always wise to be humble and open and always try to lead with a smile.
Yes, sir, brother. I was thinking about what you said earlier as far as the summits and doing for self, because there's one thing, this COVID pandemic, it has put us in a position to know what expendable truly means. And so, you have to begin to pool your resources. There's a newfound entrepreneurial spirit coming across our people. And so, talk about how the times and the impact of COVID has kind of come in alignment with a lot more people being open and interested in doing for self and pooling resources, and the things that we're taught as followers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Man, you said it earlier. I don't know if it was when we were on the air or before, but you were talking about how, if you look at the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he gave us all the answers to the questions and the issues that we're facing in this very moment. All of them are there. When you look at the COVID crisis and you look at those, who have succumbed to the crisis, and most who succumb had pre-existing conditions, and those pre-existing conditions could have been avoided if we followed How to Eat to Live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He told us to do for ourselves. So today you have companies trying to force us to take vaccines that we don't want. They're saying, hey, if you don't take the vaccine, you can't work for us. If you don't take the vaccine, you can't go to school here. I remember hearing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say that's a blessing, because their jobs and their schools haven't done anything for us in the first place. So it forces us now to create our own and do for ourselves, man, to open up our own schools, to open up our own businesses and make our own rules and laws, man. So this thing has been a blessing in that aspect, and it can be even more of a blessing if we can get the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad to the people, if we can get the guidance of the minister to the people, so they can see that these teachers have been guiding us rightly over the long haul, man. And if we would have just followed, or if we can, it's not too late to pick up and follow today, but at the end of it would be a great success, man. So yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing an entrepreneurial spirit come out of this thing. I'm seeing, small businesses develop. It's a wonderful thing, man, and I'm pleased to see it, and you see Allah's hand in it completely.
Yes, sir. And you're so right, brother. I think that when not only that, you talk about the disparities that existed prior to COVID, it shed more light on it. But I think at every avenue in the Black community in particular, whether it's pooling our resources, how to eat to live, just overall independence, all of these things have been revealed. And the science of it all, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching us about this long ago. And so you see how the younger people now are beginning to question things more. And if they could just hold on and gravitate to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, brother, it will be something special. And that is why I'm so thankful to hear about the work that you're doing in the community. Because, you know, it's one thing if we're waiting on people to come through our doors, but to actively go out and give the teachings to people or interact with people and make them ask the questions, what's different about this brother? What's different about this sister? And when that answer can be the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it could start them on the path that will save their lives. Because as we said earlier, all it takes is one mistake, brother.
Right.
And this system is unforgiving. And in a time now where we're taught that in these days our enemies can't take care of their own people, so they got to cut us loose. And so in cutting us loose, that's what we're seeing now, brother. And then and I know you're in Michigan, and even though the farmers in other parts of Michigan, but even going back to the land, brother, and these things you see and hear our people talking about the agricultural sciences, and we know that the Nation of Islam has always had farming and made that a priority. And so all of the things that were in existence that we're taught to do, we're seeing all of these things coming full circle. And based on the time and what must be done now, people are forced one way or another to bear witness to the truth as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we look at the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that we've had several student ministers on, and all of you in different parts of the country are doing this work and sharing this information. And that's another reason I told you I was so happy to have you on, because I want the public and our viewing audience to know that there are many student ministers out here doing work, working on behalf of our people in different cities and locations. And, sometimes we become enamored only with the people that we see, but it's so good to have you remotely, coming on talk about Detroit. And we've had other locations. And so, brother, just talk about being a part of the student ministry and the
Man.
responsibility that holds, and even, well, regionally, your peers and things like that, because I think that the people should know what kind of strength and talent that we have in the student ministers in the Nation of Islam.
Man, it's a wonderful brotherhood. It's a wonderful family. I'm not just going to say brotherhood because we have
Yes, sir.
sisters in that ministry. But to be able to have a brother to call, to be able to have a brother to pull on, to be able to have a brother to get some guidance from or some insight, is a wonderful blessing that many of our people don't have, man. They don't have people that they can call and get guidance from. They don't have people they can call who don't have a hook tied to whatever that they're going to offer. So it's a beautiful thing. And, it's many ministers working throughout our community, many captains. And one thing you talked about the land, I was just visiting Atlanta, and I was able to visit a place called Your Faith Farms, which is one of our great brothers who owns this farm, man. And we were able to go horseback riding, but we were able to see how a farm operates, man. It's a beautiful thing. And I want to start bringing groups of people down to see Your Faith Farms in Atlanta so that they can be inspired too. But, we got ministers all over the place, man. Everywhere I go, man, I'm able to call somebody, and it's almost like I live there because they facilitate ways for me to get around and help. And, you see, if I go to New Orleans, for instance, you got a brother, Willie Muhammad, who says, okay, I want you to come speak at the juvenile facilities. I went to Virginia and got with Brother Tracy, and we were able to go and see where Nat Turner rebellion took place. And I learned so much from that. I go down to Mississippi. I got Brother Abram Muhammad, and we went, because I like to go around and experience some of the trauma that our people went through. So I wanted to go where Emmett Till was murdered at, and Brother Abram got me down there. But it changed my life and seeing that and feeling that area, man. But our brothers are working these areas, man, and bringing some level of balance to each area based upon the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that they've been given. You know, you have the great brothers like our brother who was on not too long ago. We have brother Sharif in Atlanta. No, you got great brothers everywhere doing a great work. And I met a sister yesterday who was telling me about the great works of one of our ministers, minister of Mosque number 7, brother Hafiz Muhammad, who passed away. But she was so honored to meet me because, you know, she said that was the only minister in the Nation of Islam she ever met, and that she felt it was a blessing to meet me. But she talked about the work and the discipline and the things that he was doing in the Harlem area. So, I mean, you could go all over, man. Throughout Michigan, we have some great brothers that are doing some great things to bring balance to our community with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Of course, you know, we're not always covered. We're not always lifted, but that doesn't mean we're not present and doing the work and helping to bring balance to people, man. You know, just during this COVID crisis, here in Detroit, I've done over 30 funerals. You know, and half of those, or more than half of those, were from, you know, community people who had seen me do funerals before, and they just felt that I brought the word in a way that brought comfort to families. But in the midst of doing funerals, we do weddings. You know, we're continuing to do that to bring people together. In the meantime, you know, you have to do the political thing and help develop, you know, community programming and events. So, you know, it's a constant thing, but that's part of the work, man. That's part of the work of God, to bring light to our people, to our community, to those who, you know, those who are in our environment.
Well, brother, that's where we're going to end it right there. You said it well, brother Troy. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. We're going to have you on again soon, okay?
Anytime. Love you, appreciate you. May Allah bless you and with a continued success.
Thank you. You as well, brother. Brothers and sisters, thank you for viewing so much. On behalf of Student Minister Troy Muhammad and the Crow Television production team, I leave you with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.